10 disastrous superhero castings that almost happened. Let's get it on. You can add me to the mix because Batman Year One was going to happen and now it's not happening. Oh, it's not. It was not a disastrous. It was a good idea. I wish it could have been something, but you move on. It's not a disaster.
More superheroes than ever are making their way from comic book pages to the big screen. But casting superpowered men and women isn't an exact science, and sometimes studios are way off the mark. Just because an actor, comedian, or rapper is popular doesn't mean they were born to fight crime in spandex. Some of the biggest superhero movies today were almost huge casting disasters. Here's a look at the bizarro universe that could have been with 10 disastrous superhero castings that almost happened. Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Yeah.
Before Nick Cage was disappointing audiences as Ghost Rider, he almost got the chance to play the Man of Steel himself. Back in the 90s, Tim Burton was slated to direct the film Superman Lives, starring Nicolas Cage as Superman. The plot was loosely based on the Death of Superman comic book arc with Brainiac as a villain. Cage had always wanted to play a superhero. He even took the name Cage from Marvel character Luke Cage. But Superman Lives only made it to pre-production before getting cancelled. Judging from the test footage of Nick Cage in the Superman costume, that's probably a good thing. Tom Cruise as Iron Man. People were skeptical at first when Robert Downey Jr. was cast as Iron Man, but now we can't imagine it any other way. Robert Downey Jr. wasn't the first choice though. Tom Cruise was originally cast as billionaire playboy Tony Stark. Cruise claims that he lost interest because the script wasn't up to his standards, but rumor has it the producers dumped him after he demanded that his face be visible through Iron Man's classic visor. Either way, it was a good move for comic book fans everywhere. Tom Cruise may have star quality, but Robert Downey Jr. is much better when it comes to playing a lovable bastard like Tony. Marlon Wayans as Robin. Nicolas Cage wasn't the only questionable casting choice to come out of a failed Tim Burton project. After 1992's Batman Returns, Burton started work on a third Batman film starring Michael Keaton as Batman and Marlon Wayans as Robin. Yes, Marlon Wayans, comedian and star of Scary Movie. But directing changed hands from Tim Burton to Joel Schumacher, and Schumacher recast Chris O'Donnell in the role of Robin. O'Donnell went on to play Robin opposite George Clooney in the widely detested Batman and Robin. So all things considered, that was a bullet dodge for Wayans. Jack Black as Green Lantern.
Yeah, I heard
Comic book fans were underwhelmed by the 2011 Green Lantern film with Ryan Reynolds. Of course, Reynolds turned his superhero career around with Deadpool in 2016, but the Green Lantern casting could have gone in a very different direction. Jack Black was set to star as the Green Lantern himself in a comedic take on the character back in 2006. Sure, the serious version of the Green Lantern franchise didn't quite go as planned, but it's pretty hard to imagine Jack Black as a member of the intergalactic Green Lantern Corps. The Jack Black movie was supposedly based around Kyle Rayner, the character who took over for the Green Lantern in the mid-2000s, and not Hal Jordan. But still, it's safe to say that Jack Black would be wrong for any lantern of any color. Leonardo DiCaprio as Spider-Man. Now that Leo has his Oscar, he's free to make whatever disastrous career move he wants. But it's probably a good thing that he never tried his hand at Spider-Man. Leonardo DiCaprio is just too suave to play a convincing Peter Parker. Who's gonna buy him as a high school nerd? DiCaprio was approached to play everyone's favorite webhead in the late 90s for a gritty adult take on Spider-Man with a script by James Cameron. The movie was never made, but the screenplay calls for at least one bondage scene between Peter and Mary Jane. So, all in all, maybe not a huge loss for the Marvel movie universe. Sylvester Stallone as Superman. Following the success of Rocky in 1976, Sylvester Stallone had his heart set on playing Superman. He lobbied hard for the part, but was ultimately turned down for being too Italian. Actually, the reason was that Marlon Brando, who played Jor-El in the 1978 Superman film, refused to work with Stallone. Brando also initially wanted to have the role of Jor-El represented by a floating green bagel with his voice. Producers managed to talk him out of that one, but they let the superstar call the shots when it came to booting Sylvester Stallone. Bill Murray as Batman. Long before Ben Affleck was causing controversy as the Caped Crusader, Bill Murray was set to star in a Batman film, with Ivan Reitman of Ghostbusters directing. Murray's not exactly the brawny and heroic type, but Ghostbusters had been so successful that producers were ready to take a gamble on him. Not only was Bill Murray cast as Batman, but David Bowie was the top choice to play the Joker. Unfortunately, the world never got to see Bill Murray face off against David Bowie on the streets of Gotham. The script went through numerous rewrites and was eventually dropped in favor of Tim Burton's Batman starring Michael Keaton. Joaquin Phoenix as the Hulk.
Whoa,
Bruce Banner
I didn't know
doesn't
that.
necessarily have to be a
That would
heroic
actually be a
type,
pretty
but he's
good
usually
idea.
a mild-mannered scientist and not quite right for eccentric performer Joaquin Phoenix. After Marvel confirmed that Edward Norton would not be reprising his role as the Hulk, Joaquin Phoenix was in the running to replace him in the 2012 Avengers movie. Phoenix certainly has a reputation for being volatile, but he might just be a bit too out there to capture Bruce Banner. Ultimately, the studio went with Mark Ruffalo for the part, and he's given us a much more grounded version of Dr. Banner, at least until he gets angry. Tom Hiddleston as Thor. Tom Hiddleston's Loki is one of the most compelling villains in Marvel's cinematic universe. He's conniving, treacherous, and almost sympathetic in a twisted way, but Hiddleston was almost cast as the golden child of the Asgardian gods instead. When Tom Hiddleston auditioned for the 2011 movie Thor, he was being considered for the Thunder God himself. Director Kenneth Branagh suggested him, and Hiddleston was asked to gain 20 pounds of muscle just to audition for the part, but the role still went to the more chiseled Chris Hemsworth. It's difficult to picture Hiddleston as Thor, but he's pretty much perfect for Loki, Thor's adopted brother and lifelong nemesis. Besides, losing the lead role to his beefier brother is pretty much the story of Loki's life. John Krasinski as Captain America.
I knew that.
With the release of Captain America Civil War, it's hard to imagine anyone other than Chris Evans taking on the role of Steve Rogers. But the first Avenger almost went for an entirely different kind of hero. John Krasinski of The Office came close to starring as the Cap in Captain America way back in 2011. Krasinski doesn't hold any grudges, but he did say that he would love to join the Marvel Universe and maybe have a chance to face off with Evans on screen. Could Jim Halpert be the next Marvel supervillain? Well, Martin Freeman of the British Office has already joined the MCU, so it's only a matter of time until Krasinski gets a shot to play the hero. So there you have it, a look at some of the strength.
That was a cool list. That was a good list. Very good list. Post comments down below. Let me know what you guys all thought. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, and share. If you did not, well, you can still like, subscribe, and share. And you can also kiss my ass. That being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.